Fill us in on your organization.
Well, thank you again for having us today. I am the CEO of the Housing Trust Fund Ventura County, which in 2020 created a supporting nonprofit called the Housing Land Trust Ventura County. And our focus is on affordable housing. The Housing Trust Fund finances affordable housing. The Housing Land Trust receives donated land for affordable housing development, where the development sits on a ground lease in perpetuity. So we are guaranteed as a community to have affordable housing on that spot in perpetuity.
Can you give me an example of one of those spots?
Sure, absolutely. Our very first piece of property that was donated to us was through the city of Oxnard. And at 2nd and B Street, there is now in construction a 110-bed homeless solution center and a 55-unit affordable transitional housing apartments. Casa de Carmen is the new name after our beloved Carmen Ramirez. So the city donated that land, and they had already selected a developer and a service provider, but gave the land to us to ensure that that land will be affordable in some format forever. We also do the monitoring and the tracking to ensure that rents are kept affordable, that the quality of the housing is kept up, that it is always run professionally. So that's our role.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an interesting, I didn't know that niche. I didn't know that
It
role
is a niche, and I appreciate that you say that, because there's land trusts of a variety of kinds. But on the housing side, some are started by community members for a specific building in a specific community. In our case, with the reduced amount of available land for housing, there's this need to make sure that there are places to build affordable housing as we go through life here. And so this model works really well to preserve land for affordable housing. And it just, we're lucky at this point because the cities have a fair amount of, some cities have a fair amount of extra or surplus land. And we all know that the cities are doing their best to develop more affordable housing. So it worked out well, the timing. And we're going to need affordable housing. We need it desperately now, but we will always be needing it. And so the land being dedicated and committed to affordable housing in perpetuity becomes an asset to the community.
Absolutely. And it strikes me, because I used to run the Boys and Girls Club, and it's been around for a long time.
Yes.
But it's the same issue. And in some respects, you have the curse of flavor of the month. Oh, we're into outdoors, or we're into this, we're into that. But you're looking at the long, real, as you say, perpetuity. You don't get any longer than that.
Right. It's an important factor, particularly when you're dealing with real estate and land.
I'm curious when you said that the cities, specifically in terms of housing, that they have land, but it seems to me what I read, maybe I just read the noise of the conflict of the fight over affordable housing and the use of that land and so on. How does that work, and how do you interface in that?
It's a great question. Ventura County residents voted a number of years ago for SOAR, Save Our Agricultural Resources. And I'm sure Melissa will talk a little bit about that. But from our side of it, what that did is it moved housing into city curb lines. So we're going to have all that beautiful open space. Housing and development needs to move into the cities. So what that means for affordable housing, excuse me, is that there's, we're limited in space within those cities. So we either go up, or we develop land that maybe wasn't developed in the most effective way. Parking lots, some of the strip malls, things like that. And so some of the cities are sitting on land that is not to the best use. And because we are in an affordable housing crisis now, where we have Ventura County, in a study last year, came up as the #1 in the country with the least number of units of affordable housing.
Really?
Yeah, Ventura County, which means there's not enough bricks and sticks in the ground for units for people that are affordable to everybody. And so, recognizing this and seeing what is happening down the road, we realized we had to capture that land somehow. And so the land trust model that has been around a long time seemed to be the answer to that. So we work closely with the cities, we work closely with the county. Ventura County's been an amazing partner to both the Housing Trust Fund and the Housing Land Trust in helping us understand how to work with those properties, how to work with the cities to potentially donate. So we're very involved in community activity and working with the cities and the county. And we all are looking at transportation and traffic and all of that. So by keeping development in the cities, we are working within a system that exists, and sure, there's room for improvement, but it makes sense then to put it out in our beautiful open ag area, to have the housing and development close to the schools, close to the services, hospitals, and on and on.
Plus the impact of agriculture, you reach a tipping point where it's not sustainable. We become, as we say, Orange County. So it all becomes housing, and that's, I would say, the majority of us in this county don't want that.
Right.
We live in a beautiful place and we love it, and part of it is the balance of the things that you're talking about.
Absolutely. Same. When we get a piece of property, it has to be developable for affordable housing. Potentially the zoning can be changed, but if it's a little triangular piece that really nobody wanted and you can't really do anything on it, we're not going to accept that. We're not land banking in that way.
And there's also pressure, if you will, from the state and others to do affordable housing,
Absolutely.
right? So it isn't like just a goodwill effort. There's, which is extremely needed and very important, but you have other factors like that involved. Am I correct about that?
Absolutely. I mean, the pressure that's coming from the federal government and the state, because we have a tremendous crisis. This state, for about 12 years, was not producing housing, much less affordable housing.
The prices of housing has skyrocketed. How does that impact you, and what defines affordable housing?
Right. Well, no question, the high cost of housing is moving more and more people to rentals, but the cost of rentals are very expensive. It's hard to really say what defines affordable, because there's federal guidelines, there's state guidelines, there's county, city, so there's a lot of guidelines. But the average affordable housing terminology is 120% of what's called area median income, and below is considered affordable. So market rate is right there at 120 and above. And the decision on what affordable housing levels are going to be in a development really is determined by the funding sources. I frequently tell people on the financing side, market rate housing, Bob, the developer, goes to the bank and says, these are the rents and they all cover my costs. And the bank says, great, we'll give you a loan, easy peasy. Well, affordable housing, if you're looking at the multifamily side, the rents don't cover the costs. So that developer has to go and get money from the state, money from the city, money from the federal government, money from my organization, the Housing Trust Fund, money from banks, tax credits. There's sometimes 12 to 15 layers of financing in affordable housing.
Another big issue in our county is, and depending on your terminology, whether it's homeless or people without housing, and I would assume that impacts both of your organizations. So how do you deal with that?
People that work in the nonprofit world, we frequently start with the heart. Yeah. We're business people because we have to raise the money, we have to run an organization just like private industry, but we're mission driven. Mm-hmm. And so we look through the lens of how can we fix this situation so that everybody wins in it. The homeless situation is just abominable. I mean, it's but it shows what happens with years and years and years of not developing enough housing, and on that point, really not developing diverse types of housing. You know, communities have accepted the 1,100, 900 square foot apartment or the 2,000 square foot home. Not everybody needs that. And particularly our young, I have two 20-somethings, and they would be happy with a little micro unit of 300 square feet that's theirs, that they can rent, that they can have as their own. We don't have that product in this community.
And why is that?
Again, because I think traditions are hard to break sometimes. And developers and communities say, well, we can accept what we've seen, or we can accept the single family home on a big lot with a fence. Okay, but not everybody needs that. And certainly not everybody can afford that. And so I think we're getting that message out more and more, and we're starting to hear of future developments that are more scaled down. You talk to most 20-year-olds, some of the people in this room today, and you know, they want a place that they feel safe, that is theirs, they can lay their head. But many 20-year-olds, they want to be out traveling the world. They want to be out. They don't need the backyard with the fenced in, etc. So I think we need to be listening to people more, and maybe not so much to just the fears that people put out.
Interesting. What do you want people to know? Or what are the misperceptions about your organization, and what do you want people to know?
Housing Land Trust Ventura County is an organization that's preserving land for affordable housing. And we're also very lucky in this community that our local government and our county government love to partner with nonprofits. And they seek our guidance, they seek our wisdom and what strategies we have. And I have lived in other communities, and that is not always the case. So I feel really glad that we have a county government and local municipalities who want to partner with us.
That says a lot. That's really important, and I've seen it. You know, we've celebrated some of that here at CAPS and things like that.
Yeah.
And we want to do more of that. But you're right, and I've lived elsewhere too, and it is unique. And I think it's all for the same common good. It really is for the same common good.
Right.
And you all bring that to it. How do they find out more?
Housing Land Trust VC.org is our website, and we are also on social media under the Housing Land Trust VC. And we love to hear the stories of how people's lives have been changed because of affordable housing. You know, whether it's the individual person who's their first place outside of their family home, or it's the family who lived in substandard housing and now has room for their young children to study, and the family has a place of their own they're not sharing with 3 other families. Those are the stories we love to hear and get feedback about, because then it tells us what we're doing is right.